Welcome back, everybody, to the Grip Wild Men Who Matter podcast. Excited to be back with you. Today we got a pretty cool topic we want to talk about and dig into. But before we get going, as always, I want to introduce my man, the Broach. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? Good day, Steve. Kind of a sad week for me. Duck season ended on Sunday. It's taken me a few days to get back my head right. It's something that we all look forward to. It's what I look forward to most out of all hunting seasons. So I spent Monday kind of wishing and thinking and hoping, and then found the joy to realize that only 302 more days and we get to do it all again. So,
well, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's the great thing about being a fisherman. It never ends. I can fish any day of the year. I never experienced what you experienced on Monday, Brandon, because I just go on to the next thing. That's the awesomeness about loving it all. But I'll be thinking about you this week as you mourn the ending of the old quacker and honker season. So, but look, I want to jump right in today, and the reason I do is because we got a lot to talk about. And I heard a quote this week that really kind of it shook me up a little bit, and it was a quote by Martin Luther King, and the quote was, "We may not all be famous, but we can all be great." And that's what I want to peel back today, is this idea that there's a chance that you, me, everyone listening here today, they'll never be famous. Like it may not be in our cards for us to be famous, but we can all be great. And so what does that look like? I don't know. That's just really rocked my world this week, and I want to dive into that.
I think that's interesting because I look around and I see this world that we're living in, and there's all these dreams and aspirations. People are driving after something, and especially when you consider the social media aspect, and everyone has a platform now. It's easy to have one, but it's almost like we're all chasing fame. In a weird sense, we all want the same thing, but I believe it's not to be famous. I think we fooled ourselves into thinking that if we're famous, then we've made it. Then if I have the followers, then I've made it. If I have the subscribers, then I've made it. What that really is to me on a deeper level is I think we all want to matter. Really, I mean, it's not about fame. It's about being great. It's about being noticed. It's really about being known. Mm-hmm. And we're all in a journey that we want to be known. We want to be discovered. Mm-hmm. And we want to be known for what we're really good at.
That's right. I mean, and that's, I think that's so key for us to really fix our eyes on that element. And if we're honest with ourselves, we really want to just be known. And I think if you really just stop and ponder on what that actually looks like, what does it mean to be known? What does it mean to have the world view what you're doing as significant? Now that is a very much a possibility in your life, because to be known is very controllable. You can be very intentional about it, and that goes to the other part of the quote. Like, we can all be great, because what does greatness? He talks about greatness being, greatness is serving people. Well, I mean, last time I checked, you don't really have to have a talent or a platform or a following or any kind of social or economic status to serve someone, to pour into someone, to love on someone. I don't know. And it really, even for me, because I've always had a lot of aspirations in my life. I've always been very driven. I'm always a why not kind of guy. And to think about this and to put that drive into perspective of, I can be great. I may or may not ever be famous, and I don't even know that I have a desire to be famous, but what I do want in my life is to be great, and I want my children to see that, and I want my children to pursue greatness. And to filter it through, well, to be great, it simply means to just serve people and pour into people and impact people. That's encouraging.
Well, what's crazy is if you look across the landscape of history at some of maybe who you would consider the greatest leaders that you see in the world, what I find is that most of those people never set out with the intent of building a following.
Mm-hmm.
They never set out with the intent of building, this platform where they have all this massive influence. They set out to impact one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
They set out with this servant attitude of just reaching into the world of where they are, using what they had to make a difference for somebody else. And really, so that to me is what greatness looks like. It's not that you pursued this massive fame,
Mm-hmm.
but you see that most of the greatest servants and the
Mm-hmm.
people that we would consider the greatest at what they
Mm-hmm.
do set out with a singular goal, which was to get better and to continue to drive and to serve people and have an impact around them. I think one of the things that we wrestle with is we're in such a quick culture where we're looking for the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all want to find the elevator.
That's right.
We all want to get on at the bottom floor, punch the button, step off the elevator at the top, and have arrived at where we're going. And that's just not the way it is.
It's not. I mean, this is how it is. I mean, if you want to get to the top, if you want to achieve quote unquote greatness, success, fulfillment, whatever you want to plug in there, you will have to take the stairs 100% of the time. Our pursuit to our greatness, our fulfillment, it's a staircase. There's no Louis Giglio, he's a pastor at Passion City Church, says there's no golden elevator, right? I mean, it's a staircase every time. And so I think the one thing that a lot of us need encouragement with is, well, how do I climb the staircase? It's pretty daunting. It's exhausting. I have to take the stairs every time. That's a long way up. I'm a long way from where I want to be, and it's up and it's stairs. And yes, it is. It's a staircase every time. But as you and I both know, and a lot of people know, like there's a way you can attack a staircase. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it looks like to engage in the quote unquote staircase towards your greatness, towards your achievement, towards your goals, towards your freedom in your life, towards your healing, towards your redemptive story. Like it's stairs, but how do we attack those stairs?
And stairs are pretty easy. It's just one step at a time. And so what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes is, what does that look like? What does that look like for each of us? Are there common steps? Because we each have a different staircase. We each have a different staircase. And I think one thing we have to be aware of on the front end is that my staircase doesn't look like your staircase. And so I can't get caught up in looking at how you're going up your staircase and, oh, well, Steven's 3 or 4 steps ahead of me. I must be doing something wrong, or, man, I wish I was at the level that he's at. No, my staircase and your staircase are different. So the caution has to be, we cannot let ourselves become distracted by obstacles that aren't even in our path. And so much of this social media culture that we live in, it's all about, look at me and look at what they're doing. And, well, let me see how their marriage looks. Well, it looks better than mine. Let me see how their kids look. Wow, their kids look awesome on Instagram. And I wish my kids would do that. And really, that's a trap, because my staircase is different than your staircase. And so we have to be focused on what we're doing, the steps that we can take in our lives, and not comparing them to what everybody else is doing.
One thing that I was thinking about, when we were getting ready to do this podcast was, I want to be great. Well, what does that look like? What is the reality of greatness? Not the Instagram post of greatness. Right. And so let's talk a little bit about, like, how do we get to great?
So think about it this way. What is greatness? How do we find this kind of rounded out definition that's easy to swallow of greatness in your life as you're listening, as you're thinking about? Think about the greatest in whatever industry that you love, whatever your hobby, your passion is. Like, who's the greatest? What makes them the greatest? And I just want to introduce a word to this discussion: distinguishable. Like, what makes the greatest great? They're distinguishable among the rest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of people that love to play golf. There's a few people that are really great at it.
You love them golf analogies, man.
There's a whole lot of people.
Do you even play golf?
Yeah. I had to back off of golf because it became a problem.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of people that are in the fishing industry, right? That are chasing that tour, that want to be that want to be the guy on the podium.
Yeah.
But there's a few guys that are great.
Yeah.
And they're distinguishable.
Yeah.
Because there's something about them that sets them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to challenge us with. What is greatness? Greatness to me is to what have I been gifted and talented at? And how can I work really hard to distinguish myself from the rest? How can I set myself apart? Because that is what propels us up the staircase.
Yeah. And so that's great. I mean, you think about like distinguish, what does that look like? You know, I think about what does when you see people who are standing out, who are distinguished, a lot of times if you really peel them back and look at their lives, they're consistent, they're honest, they do everything they do with excellence. And that, you know, that word excellence can be a little tricky, as people think, I can't be excellent because, you know, I don't have any money, or I don't have a great paying job, or I come from, you know, I don't come from a prestigious family. And, you know, if there's one thing I want you to walk away with in this podcast today is understanding what excellence is. Because if you want to be successful, you want to achieve your goals, you will have to be, if you want to be the best, you will have to be excellent. But excellent is not having the best. It's doing the best with what you have. Right? Think about, I mean, if you're washing cars right now, like, don't miss a spot. Don't cut a corner.
Give it everything.
Don't leave a wheel unclean. Like, give it all you have with what you have. That's excellence. That translates to extraordinary, because there's so many people in the world who they don't think that way. They think, oh, I can't be excellent. I'm not excellent, because they compare themselves to someone else's social media page or someone else's whatever. Like, and that's not excellence. Excellence is giving it all you have with what you have.
Excellence is what distinguishes you from the rest.
That's right. That's right. And so, and again, that's controllable. Like, you can get up every day and give it, and take what you have, be where you're at, and give it all you have. And God will honor that. And he'll say, next step.
Yeah.
You know, moving on up. You know, I think about that. Moving on up. Hey, if you're willing to where you're at, humble yourself, have humility, and just be all in where you're at. Serve who God has put in your life. Serve them with all you have. Be honest. Be trustworthy. Be excellent in what you do. You'll take a next step. You'll be heading up the staircase. But here's the reality. I mean, I don't want to make this. I don't want this to sound like this is going to be an easy way to the top, because you know as well as I do, and anybody else listening knows, like, the journey to the top of your staircase, it's like you'll have to be relentless, and it goes back to grip and, you know, our GRIP, God, relentlessness, integrity, and passion. And as you pursue, you know, whatever it is you're chasing or trying to achieve or trying to experience that fulfillment, if you'll get a grip, if you'll honor God, be relentless, be men and women of integrity, have passion, it's a great foundation to get there. But your staircase will involve relentlessness. You will have to relentlessly pursue taking steps. And we talk about all the time, you know, relentlessness is not really about the grind. It's really about perseverance. Because along the way in your journey up, you're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to push through some hard times, because there's going to be times where you are humble and you are giving it all you have, and the door's still closed, or you're being excellent and nobody's noticing. There's going to be times where you've completely submitted yourself and you're just serving your heart out, and someone still does you wrong, right? Like, you're going to have to press through. Like, you taking the stairs, it will be hard. But what's at the top of the staircase is rewarding. It's fulfilling. It's worth the process. It's worth the journey. It's worth the pain. And we got to set our minds on that. We got to set our minds that there's no golden elevator. You will have to press through some difficult obstacles along the way, and you'll have to prepare yourself for that.
And I think we can say this, and I want to give it the context. We keep saying, you know, the top of the staircase is worth it. Mm-hmm. Your purpose is worth it. Your destiny is worth it. And we don't know you, and I don't know what that holds for you, but I know that that's a truth, mm-hmm. because it's it's why you're here, and it's how you're wired. We started out talking about fame and how I believe that that's just a sheepskin over what the real drive is. The real drive is that you want to be known. You want to matter. You want your life to be significant. You want to leave your mark. And so that's where we're heading when we go up the staircase. We're going towards a place of significance where we can look back on a life that matters, where we've impacted people. And that's why consistency, perseverance, and relentlessness are so critical, because you'll never get to the top if you quit halfway up.
Yeah.
You've got to be consistent. You got to just keep churning.
Yeah, and you're not going to get to the top without probably taking a step back at some point, right? And we get tripped up on that, like, man, I've been working, I've been going, I'm working my way up. Oh, all of a sudden something happens, and you've taken a step back. You're going back down, and you can't let that consume you. You can't let a stumble or an obstacle derail your journey up. Think about it this way. This past fall, we led a small group of men, and just pouring into them, just with the outdoors, and talking a lot about this grip stuff. But one day we took them out to shoot targets. Took the rifles, took the 22s, shotguns. We just took them out and rifle. And one thing I noticed with some of the guys is they were kind of very timid in a way. They didn't want to step up to shoot, or even to a point where they took one or two shots, and I'm good, I'm done. And I kind of so I kind of relate that to this journey, and thinking about mine is, if I look back at the target that I was shooting at versus everyone else's targets and everyone else's things they were doing, one thing I noticed was I didn't have a bunch of bullseyes, but what I did notice is I looked at my target, it had holes all in it, dude, because I was shooting. I wasn't just aiming, I was pulling the trigger. I was pulling the trigger because what I do know is you'll never hit your target if you don't put yourself in a position to make adjustments, right? And if all you ever do is you're just aiming, you're calculating, you have a fear to fail in your process, and so you're too scared to take that next step because it may not be the right step, and you may fail, or you may take a step back, you may trip and come sliding back down. Guys, that's part of your story. Like, you have to put yourself in a position where your life story is a target. And if there's only one or two holes in the target, you're probably not where you want to be. It's okay if you look up and your target is full of holes. There's holes everywhere, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to make adjustments in your journey, make adjustments in your process, is that because you were willing to take a shot, to try, to take a step. John Maxwell talks about all the time. There's no such thing as failure, and he even wrote a book called "Failing Forward." And his point in it is, you'll never fail in life as long as when something doesn't go right, or an endeavor does fail, that you fall forward and not back. It's a great thought process. Like, there's no failure if you learn something from it, if you made an adjustment from it, if you used a situation in your life that didn't work out like you hoped. If you can put yourself in a position where you are comfortable with just taking shots and making adjustments versus just always aiming, trying to be perfect, trying to hit the bullseye, and not really willing to take the risk of missing the bullseye. If you put yourself in that position, that's how you take steps, man. That's how you move, because God created you to be excellent. It's in you, and He has an extraordinary plan for your life, and you just got to position yourself to live that out. And so, I want to make sure that you're able to kind of walk away today with just three things to focus on in your life, and that is, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, wherever the journey that you're on, and in the stage of that journey that you're on, just keep being consistent. Be consistent in your character. Be consistent in your decision making. Be consistent in your choices. And a lot of times consistency is just your character is repeated over and over. And so when people see you, they know what they're going to get. They know that you're going to be honest. You're going to be straightforward. They know that, if it's your employer, they know that you're going to show up every day on time, if not early, and you're going to give it all you have. The other thing I want you to walk away with is be excellent, be consistent, be excellent. And we talked about excellence. Just give it all you have with what you have. Right? Be excellent, be consistent. And lastly, serve. Whatever you're doing, pour into someone, help someone, love on someone, encourage someone, step in for someone, like serve somebody. And I think you'll look up and you'll find yourself in a position where, man, all of a sudden you feel like your staircase is turning into an escalator. If you'll be consistent, if you'll be excellent, and you'll serve others, you're going to look up and your journey will all of a sudden start making more sense. You'll start feeling like you're winning more battles, and you'll start getting closer and closer to not only your goals, to not only the success that you're achieving, not only whatever it is that you're chasing after. You'll also look up and you'll begin to see and experience you're feeling a little bit more fulfilled. You're feeling a little bit more known, right? Because that's really, if you think about it, go back to the beginning of our podcast, we talked about famous. We all want to be famous. No. If we're honest with ourselves, we all just want to be known. And I think if we'll start with those three things, we'll look up and we'll be great and we'll be known and we'll be fulfilled.
So I've been encouraged just having this conversation today, and I hope that it's encouraging you as you're listening, that no matter where you are on your staircase, you can make the adjustments and you can continue to move up. And we're here to encourage you. We're praying for you. We want to see you reach that top where you have that significance and you're making that impact.
So until next time, as my son likes to say, you got to grind to shine, and we're all meant to shine. We'll see you guys next week.